You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Brommer018. Link in the description. Do it now. Hello everyone, welcome along to another FIFA 20 Custom Tactics video, the series where I show you how to recreate and adapt real life systems in FIFA 20 so that they will actually work. Today, we switch our attention to Gian Piero Gasperini's Atalanta system. Brommer 18 here as always, and I'm really excited to be getting into this one today. A system that has well and truly taken the minds, particularly of people in Italy, and I think it deserves more recognition, around the continent, really, around Europe and football fans in general, because I think what he's doing there and what Atalanta really, the project that they've got at the moment, is something that's well and truly special, very special. And so, today we are going to be covering this. A shout out to Tandem Manaj, I believe that's how you pronounce it, someone who has been commenting on my videos, a subscriber. He has relentlessly badgered me, been pounding the rock about me doing this system, and I've kept responding saying, I will get to it, just relax. And so finally, I can appease his request, and a lot of you as well. This has had a lot of suggestions, Gasperini's Atalanta, and I'm really glad to be doing it. It's one that I'm a big fan of. So today we are going to get into it. So first things first, let me explain just sort of the ins and outs of the formation. Whilst it's quite varied, it's very much an attacking system. You'll find there's a lot of high pressing, a lot of high intensity, quick build up, but again, they can bed in as well when they need to, and that's sort of the ideal thing of part of having a 3-back / a 5-back system is that you can rotate sort of your game plan depending on the opponent. So let's say if they're facing someone who is trying to seize the initiative, pressing them a bit higher, seizing control of the ball, they can bed into a 5-back, and that's something you can find in this system. But in terms of the formation itself, you want to change to this 3-4-1-2, and that's the formation we're going to be going with. There'll be no need to change any systems or anything, so it is fine to go with that. The reason why you want to go with this system and not, say, perhaps let me find it, the 3-5-2, where is it? Let's have a look here. Here we go, this one. The difference between them two is that the fact that the CMs will be CDMs, well, left DM and right defensive midfielder. So the reason you want to go with this one instead is that you want to try and replicate that attacking intensity. Should you find that perhaps you want a second system, perhaps a more defensive game plan, then by all means you go into defensive and add a 3-5-2, in which case you can just drop them back a little bit. But we are focusing on this one today because this is very much replicating how it's done in real life. So first things first, we will move on to the instructions. We'll start off with the keeper and work our way up the field. So with Galini, you want him to come for crosses and sweeper keeper as well. They are going to be playing a high line, so obviously you do want a sweeper keeper as that extra layer of protection. And in terms of comes for crosses, we talk about this often in these videos, and that's that keepers are quite overpowered on this game. It's like they have an invisible wall around them. So when you have them coming for crosses, it relieves pressure a little bit. It makes them easier to defend. So, making him more aggressive is very much going to help you in the long run. Moving on to the centre-backs now. So really we're going to keep this generally the same other than one, and that is the left centre-back here, whoever it may be. It can change. They have just brought in Mattia Caldara. They got Macieo as well around as well. So, whoever you want in here. Well, I would advise it's someone left-footed as a left centre-back. It will make you easier to play that out ball. Whoever you choose, really. You actually want to change these to join the attack. So what you find in this system is that sometimes, and it's similar to the Sheffield United system that we've covered a few weeks back in one of these videos, is that actually sometimes the centre-backs will actually overlap and they'll add another body into the box going forward for crossing situations. Now the reason why they do that is because what you do is you add an extra body into that mix that the opposition aren't expecting, and therefore they have to sort of shift it around a bit. Can they try and cover him? So, in this case, say you've got the left back, he storms forward, gets into the box, joins the two strikers, joins one of the wing backs. Then the centre mid is going to cover for him, but then you've got that extra body. And, you know, it's good for crossing situations as well. It's easier to break teams down as well, adding more bodies going forward, you know, particularly in leagues like Italy, where, you know, there are a few more defensive teams than, say, there would be in other leagues, such as, you know, Spain or Germany, etc. So just the left centre-back you want to join the attack. The reason why you don't want the right centre-back as well is something that I'm going to explain very shortly. But one thing I do want to say before is that what you'll find is that the overlapping centre-back instructions don't really work on FIFA. Not very well, anyway. So the way you've got to replicate this is you've got to actually activate it yourself. So let's say you get the ball with the left centre-back. You want to press LB and A if you're on Xbox, or L1 and X if you're on PS4. He'll pass it off, but then he'll make a run forward, and he'll keep making that run forward. So if you keep working the ball forward, he'll then run into the box and he'll give you that other option. So you really will have to manually do it, because, you know, instructions in terms of that one, the join the attack for centre-backs, doesn't work quite as well as it should. So, you know, just a word of warning there. So next we're going to move on to the two central midfielders, and first of all I'll explain why we only have one centre-back on overlap. It's because basically you want one of these centre midfielders to cover as well. In this case we've made it Darun. He's going to be on stay back while attacking and also stay on the edge of the box. And the reason being is that what you'll find is sometimes in this system, you know, when they want to add a body in the box, one of the centre midfielders will storm into the box and provide that extra option. But because it's FIFA, you're trying to combat the game mechanics. And therefore, if you have, say, both of these unbalanced or get into the box for the cross, you know, you can't vary it. So then they'll both be storming into the box, and then you're going to leave that position vacant. So you've got to choose one or the other. And so that's why I've, you know, taken the steps to make sure only one centre-back is there overlapping. And if you do it on the same side as the midfielder that you're going to have staying back, then you're going to have that protection for him. So, for example, what we're doing here, we've got Darun, he's on stay back while attacking, and he's on stay at the edge of the box, whereas with Remo Freuler, we've got him on getting to the box for crosses. The reason, as you may have noticed, any of you eagle-eyed viewers, is that we've got him still on stay back while attacking. So what we're trying to replicate there is if you're playing through the middle, then he shouldn't be running on behind and, you know, getting past your strikers and your attacking midfielder, etc. He should still be providing those short options. But when the time comes, let's say you get it out wide and you get it to the byline and you're looking to cross it in, then sometimes he should be adding that extra body in, you know, in the 18-yard box, and then you can go from there. So it's really trying to find that balance, you know, between crossing situations and general attacking play. For both of these centre midfielders, you also want these to cover the wing as well. The reason being is that obviously you only have one on that side. You don't have a winger or a fullback. You've got essentially a wing back. In this case, they are right and left midfield, but don't worry too much about that. You know, they'll still fill in when they need to. So, you know, with them on cover wing, let's say, for example, you get it out wide and then you cross it in. The instructions that we're going to have on these wide midfielders is for them to get into the box of crosses. So, therefore, should it go over the top and then the opposition are looking to counter on you down the wide areas, you know, then you've got Freuler, Darun, whoever it may be, Malinovsky's around, you got Pasalic as well. They're going to come out wide just to try and shepherd that position and halt the opposition counter-attack. So make sure these two are on cover wing. Next, we can move on to the wide midfielders. They've both got exactly the same instructions, so I'll just show these for one. In terms of Hateboer and Gozens in this case, so come back on defence, very self-explanatory. They're essentially wing backs, but you know we have of course got them at right and left midfield. In terms of chance creation, you want both of these to stay wide. These are what create the width, and it's very much their main really course of attacking play. Because you'll find a lot of teams, obviously, if they're defending, they're going to be narrow. They're trying to stop teams from playing through you. Or stop you from playing through them, should I say. So, obviously, they get narrow, they get compact, they get their unit. And then in that case, you find that the likes of, in this case, Hateboer and Gosens are out wide in more space. And then you can work from there. So, you want both of these to stay wide. And then in terms of support runs, you actually want to keep these on balanced. The reason being is that if you have them on getting behind, sometimes they'll be doing it when you're simply trying to play out from the back rather than go direct. So, you know, it just sort of causes that little bit of frustration for me when I've played this system. And, you know, I don't have that out ball sort of to come wide to and play it out from the back. But at the same time, if you've always got them on coming short, then you lose that sort of direct intensity as well. So, you know, it's more possession based when really it's supposed to be versatile. This system is based on versatility, being able to do both. You can press high, you can play in the counter attack, you know, you can go direct, come short. So, you know, you're really trying to replicate that with the support runs being on balance. And then finally, for support on crosses, you want them to get into the box as well. So let's say, for example, as I've already alluded to, when you get it out wide and you whip a ball in, you're going to have 3 or 4 targets in the box, and that's going to be the 2 strikers, in this case Zapata and Ilicic. It will be the wing back as well, and then maybe either a centre midfielder or one of the overlapping centre backs. So yeah, make sure to set them on getting to the box for crosses as well. Next, we move on to Alejandro Gomez. What a player this man is. And, you know, it's going to be very hard for Atalanta to replace him, that's for sure. He's got a very unique set of traits. So, you know, very, very dependent on this man. So, first of all, in terms of positioning freedom, it's already set for us. Yeah, you want him on free roam. What you'll find is that not only is he roaming across the width of the pitch, but also in times he'll come deep as well when he needs to, in order to set the play going. In particular against teams who are, again, maybe playing 10 men behind the ball, being defensive, trying to be robust and stop you from playing in behind them. They're quite deep as well. So, you know, with free roam, it allows you to have that sort of creative emphasis, and Gomez is the man to do that. In terms of support on crosses, actually, you want him to stay on the edge of the box. You'll have noticed just when I talked about crossing situations, I didn't mention Papu Gomez. The reason being is that, you know, he doesn't get into the box as much. Don't forget, he's 5'6". So, you know, he's not much of a crossing threat. Really, he's at his best, of course, when the ball's at his feet. And, you know, the best way to sort of replicate that in game is have him stay on the edge of the box. And let's say the defenders... the opposition defenders nod it away, you know, hopefully it will come out to him on the edge of the box, and then you can go from there. You know, he can pick it up and do what he needs to do. So yeah, you want him on stay on the edge of the box. And in terms of defensive support, you actually want this on balanced as well. The reason being is that you don't want him expending too much energy. So it's a very hard working system, plus, you know, it's a high pressing system as well. So a lot of the times, you know, there's less need for him to come back and trap back, because, you know, you should either, perhaps you're on the ball more, or you're trying to press the opposition high up the pitch. But also... you know, if you have them on stay forward, then you've got less men back, and it just becomes less of a robust system and a tactical shape. So, you know, if you have this on basic defence support, then, you know, it's just happening in certain situations when he's needed to, and therefore he's going to expend a lot less energy, and you'll find him fresher, you know, with more stamina later on in the game, which is when you need him, you know, in particular. So have that on basic, and that should be okay. Next, we can move on to the strikers. So first of all, we'll come on to Ilicic, very, very high quality, in particular on FIFA as well. If you have a look at some of his stats here, yes, he might be slow, but he's very tall for one, very strong. And then look at this, you know, sort of 81 finishing, the free kick accuracy, long shot, short pass, crossing, etc., ball control. This guy is kind of a hidden gem, really, because, you know, not a lot of people talk about him, not just in real life, but in FIFA as well. And I think he could be very, very important to you if you're playing with this exact Atalanta team, say in career mode or maybe seasons or something. So, you know, make sure he's a big part of the attack, and we're going to try and replicate that here as well. So first of all, you want him to drift wide, and you'll find very often in the Atalanta sort of their build-up play and the way they, you know, sort of attack. You know, he will drift wide. He will come out and support the wing back. Don't forget, as I've already said, you know, there's only one on that side. Only one, you know, not a wing back or a winger combination. So he'll come out and provide that support to Hans Hateboer in this case. And then, you know, you either drag a centre back out or he's free. And then he can work something, you know, in the way of an attack. So have him on drifting wide. And then in terms of attacking runs, you actually want to keep this on mixed as well. Again, what we spoke about is how versatile it is, and we're trying to replicate that in as many players as we can, in particular Ilicic. So in this case, you know, keep him on mixed, because he's drifting wide. He's going to be doing a whole range of things. Let's say he tries to get in behind and get to the byline, or perhaps, you know, he comes short, offers a ball, and then he works it from there. So with mixed attack, you get that emphasis. In terms of defensive support, you actually want him on comeback on defense. That's making up for the fact that Gomez doesn't come back as much, and also will be keeping Zapata forward. So you've still got really, those 10 men when you need to. But like I say, it's a high pressing tactic, and you shouldn't need it as much. And finally, on interceptions, you want to change this to aggressive. Now, something I talk about in every video is don't change the interceptions from normal unless, really I specify it, because there's not as much of an upside to changing it to aggressive compared to if it's on normal. But you'll find a lot of their stamina will decrease faster, and therefore they'll be very tired towards the end of the game. But in this case, the two strikers will actually be on aggressive interceptions, and the reason being is that both of these, are essentially executing an extreme press, and they are the front line. The way I try and look at it is, think of someone like Leicester back under Claudio Ranieri, and that's a system I did recently as well. The two banks of four, i.e. the defenders and the midfielders, were able to, sort of regain their shape and form that tactical robust shape, but then the two strikers will continue pressing. So there might be a gap in between the strikers and the midfield, but it doesn't matter too much because, they're also pressing, and therefore the opposition can't hurt you as much, and you've regrouped. And that's similar to what you're sort of replicating here. So with both of these on aggressive interceptions, they're going to have more of an extreme press, and that's going to help you in the long run, and also to execute your press as well. Moving on to Duvan Zapata next. Of course, we've already got him on aggressive interceptions, and as I alluded to, you want him to stay forward as well and be that target man and that out ball. So speaking of target men, you also want him in terms of attacking runs as a target man as well, and he will again be in and around the 18-yard box and in between the posts, and that's really where you want him as that sort of main outlet ball, particularly for the crosses that are so important to this system. Zapata can offer you, sort of that element in that part of the game. So that's it for player instructions. We can now move on to tactics. First of all, on defence, you want it on constant pressure. As I've already alluded to, it's a very extreme pressing tactic, and when they lose the ball, they're after it straight away, but they don't stop there. I sort of did allude to it at the start of the video. Should you want to change to a defensive game plan, you can, in which case you can change this to, say, either press after possession loss or even drop back in certain situations, but predominantly press after possession loss. But in terms of the generic sort of style that they go with, it is constant pressure regardless of who they play against, because they're so sort of competent in each position and each area, have got them filled out. But they can do this and well as well. They execute it very well. So if you have this on constant pressure, you should be okay. In terms of defensive width, move this up to 5. The reason being is that because you've got 3 centre backs and then you've got 3 central midfielders as well, basically you can play a little bit wider and it still be compact enough so that the teams can't play through you. Whereas, let's say if you had a 4-back rather than a 5-back, they're going to be a little bit more stretched. So, with defensive width on 5, you should be okay, and it also helps you with the press as well in wide areas. Depth you want on 8. It's a very high line. Again, you're trying to complement that press, but the reason we don't move this up to 10 rather than 8 is because it's still going to be a high line, but it just gives you a little bit of leeway in case someone's trying to, say you're playing online and someone wants to exploit the ball over the top, which is still too easy to exploit on this game. Then you can deal with it a little bit better because the line has just dropped off a tiny bit more, so that will help you in the long run. In terms of offensively, the offensive style is on fast build-up. Now, the fast build-up replicates a counter-attacking system, and that is partly what it is. They're very good on the counter-attack, but because of the fact that you've got constant pressure on, if you win the ball high at the field, let's say in your attacking third, you win the ball, then there's not really much to build up in terms of running in behind, which is what fast build-up sort of replicates a lot. So then it will revert back to the possession-based system, and that's something that we have looked at and we have replicated within the player instructions. So you'll be okay in sort of both areas of the game, and therefore it gives you that versatility that I keep banging on about in this video. Moving on to offensive width, move this up to 7. As I did say, it is a very wide system in terms of particularly the wing backs or the right and left midfielder. In this case, they will get out wide And then perhaps you get the likes of Ilicic as well, or Gomez coming wide in certain situations to provide that support. Therefore, with width, you've got those out balls out on the wing. We've got it on 7 rather than 8 because then it'll become extremely wide. And then you just lose that emphasis on the short passing game and the possession-based style a little bit. So move this down to 7, you know, and that's really the sweet spot that you're looking for. In terms of players in the box, move this up to 7 again. Then you've got roughly 3 to 4 players coming into the box, as we've already spoke about. The 2 forwards, the wing back as well, and then perhaps either a centre midfielder or an overlapping centre back as well. So it gives you, you know, sort of that rough estimate of 3 or 4 players in the box, which is what you're looking for. Finally, on corners and free kicks, we've done this in every video, is move this from 3 up to 4. Then it leaves you 2 men back, which is more than enough to deal with the opposition counter-attack because they'll only ever leave 1 man forward in FIFA. But then it gives you more targets in the box and more options, so you can become more of a threat in those set-piece situations, which is very, very helpful indeed. So that would just about round it off for this video, guys. If you do have any questions about the tactic, something that you need to know, please do get at me in the comment section and I will get back to you. Sorry in the you know, last couple of weeks, you know, my replies have sort of been perhaps 1 or 2 days late. I do apologise for that. There's been a lot of comments coming through, so, you know, it's quite hard to just get around to all of them, so I do need a little bit more time. But, you know, I do try my best to respond to every comment. So, you know, like I say, if you got any tactics, any suggestions, anything you want to know, don't hesitate to put it in the comment section and I will get back to you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more regular gaming content, and also ring the bell so that you get notifications every time I upload as well. Leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed it and you want to see more. Keep those suggestions coming in for more tactics videos as well. Like I say, I've got a very long list, but your suggestions are always helpful and most welcome. So, on that note, we are going to finish it off there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.